And welcome back to the TSF Entertainment channel. It is your boy Retro CG, and I'm joined tonight by Miss Really BTV in the house. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. Eating
Let
these
me get
chips.
some of them barbecue chips. Let me get some
Well,
of them
they're actually
barbecue.
red hot.
Okay. Well, I'll take that. All right. So tonight we're here to talk about The Best Man, the final chapters. It is season one, the limited series, episode 2, The Wedding. Before I hit us with the intro, what was your first thoughts of the episode? Uh-oh.
Halfway
Maybe I should have
through,
wait to ask that after the intro.
I know, right? Halfway through, I wasn't really feeling it. By the end, I was like, okay, all right, I see where this went. Because I really thought that the whole episode, I really thought the whole series was gonna be about this wedding. So I'm glad they didn't drag it out. You know what I mean? I thought we were gonna get like 4 or 5 episodes of them on this island and just all the stuff happening on the island. So I'm glad they didn't drag it out. But now I am curious because again, remember, I'm not watching ahead. So now I
Yeah.
am curious to see sort of where it goes from here, you know?
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and hit you with that intro, and we'll be back to talk about it. And welcome back. So for me, it's kind of the opposite because for me, I actually enjoyed the first 2 episodes. I enjoyed the first 2 episodes because it was very reminiscent to the movies. And I felt like we were right back in 1999 and we were right back in 2013. So I actually enjoyed the first 2 episodes because it gave me more of a nostalgic throwback to the previous 2 movies. Now, some of the things that happened in episode 2, we'll go ahead and have to break that down a little bit. We're going to talk about it. So the episode starts off with where it left off at in episode 1, where Shelby crashes the dinner and makes her grand entrance to this island uninvited. And she learns that there's no rooms for her. And so she's arguing back and forth with Jasmine, and then Quentin and Simora, they approach her, and Simora kind of gives her like this little catty, welcoming, purposely.
Yeah, that passive aggressive,
Yes, she purposely calls her Shelly when she knows her name is Shelby. So they kind of already start off with their little
reminiscent of Whitley or the Different World, calling that girl everything except for her name.
except for her real name, right? so Shelby's like, she ain't trying to hear none of that. She's like, it's on. And the rest of the friends, the girls particularly, like, girl, what are you doing here? Like, how did you get here? Like, why are you here? And we know why she's here. She's coming to get her man. I mean, she coming to get her man. They start off arguing. I mean, they have a very toxic love. They have a toxic love. They have a very I can't stand you, but I love you at the same time relationship. I mean, they hard down arguing in front of everybody.
Shelby didn't want to let him in. Shelby didn't want to let him in. And that they sort of talk about that, later on in the episode, where she has these guards up, and she, even though she wanted it to be more, she was scared for it to be more, so she kept it at a very surface level of just sex, and not accepting her true feelings for him.
So you think, what do you think that her feelings really started to grow for Quentin? Do you think this happened at the end of Best Man? I think it's too soon. I think it more so in the holiday is where she started developing her feelings for Quentin.
I mean, I definitely think it started off as sex.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I think the initial attraction was raw attraction, sexual chemistry, and then I think it evolved. You can develop feelings for somebody, even though you don't want to accept that those feelings are there, even though you want to live in denial and be like, oh, that's just my friend, or oh, it's just sex. Like I tell people all the time, you can control your actions, you can't control your feelings. Like your feelings are what they are. Your heart is what it is. Now you can control how you act on it. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to act on it, but you can't control how you feel.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was. I think she was choosing, she wasn't trying to act on it, but she felt the way she felt.
Yeah, because
and the same thing for him.
Yeah, I guess you could say the same thing for him as well, right? Because both of them, I guess that's what makes them a perfect match for each other, is because both of them had the same approach to each other. As far as, you know, it was a physical thing. Now it's turning into more of a physical thing, but I don't want it to be more than a physical thing. So I hate you. I can't stand you, but I want you. Mm-hmm. And so they're arguing in front of everybody. I mean, they're just going back and forth arguing. And next thing you know, the scene cuts to them in the bed.
And I was like, no, he is not. Literally sleeping with another woman, literally under the roof. Like, almost like, are you serious? I was like, that's some bold.
Days, if not hours, days before
your wedding, right?
Well, I guess he said I'm still single, so no commitment there. So Shelby, she's there, and you know she's letting it be known that you know, I'm here and I want what I want.
And she got it.
She got it too. It switches to Lance laying in the bed, and it's a cameo of Mia. And I don't and it was very nice to see that they brought her back for a I guess what is it? She's a figment of his imagination, maybe his conscience, maybe something of that. I'm not gonna say she's a ghost. She's not a ghost, but she's more so just a figment of his thoughts, his memory.
Yeah, because he was dreaming, right? Wasn't he dreaming?
Yeah, well, he was dreaming, but at the same time, he still was laying in bed with another woman. Because after they showed Mia, it switched to Jasmine. And then after he saw Jasmine, you know, he kind of got up, and we seen the other lady that was laying in the bed, you know, with her back to him. So we never did see who it was, but we know who it wasn't. And then he goes to the patio, or he goes to look out the balcony, and he sees Jasmine out for a run.
Right.
This is where I'm starting to find this a little bit far-fetched, a little bit unrealistic, that he just met this girl and she's on his mind like this. I mean, they haven't had any other interaction other than her checking him into the hotel and her telling him to put his clothes on and he can't swim in the nude. Why is she on his mind all of a sudden? Is this saying that
because she's the one because she's not falling for his shit?
She's not running behind him.
His arms. She's not kissing his ass. She's not giving him, you know what I mean? He's tried the flirting with her and she was oblivious to it. Yep. So I don't think it's necessarily sex so much as it is a challenge. He sees her as a challenge right now. It may evolve into more, but right now it's, oh, wait a minute. Hold up. For the last 2 years or however long it's been since his wife died, women, and probably before that, he was a professional football player in college, the NFL. Like, he's used to women basically being able to get any women he wants, or at least get a reaction. But she's giving him nothing.
Yeah. And at the same time, she's keeping it professional. I mean, because she's at work. This is work for her. This is her job. So, I mean, she can't be fraternizing with the guests anyway. So even if she was feeling him like that, I mean, she in her workplace. She ain't got time for that. And she also see the energy that he coming with. Because even when she was checking him in, she saw that all the other women were flocking around. You know, she saw him coming out of the villa, one of the other women, the whole incident at the pool. So she already know what kind of energy he got about himself anyway. So, you know, she like looking at you like, this ain't, look, you barking up the wrong tree. Like, I ain't that type of girl.
Exactly. So I think it's more of a challenge. Like I said, it could evolve later, but the initial, I think it's just about the challenge of, wait a minute, like my tricks ain't working on her.
Right. Okay, well that explains that then. Okay, because I was like, why is he so pressed over her already? I mean, they haven't even done anything yet. They haven't even went out for a date or anything, a long walk.
Right.
Enough that he got her on his mind already. But it also kind of takes me back to what Mia was telling Jordan at the end of Holiday, that Lance can remarry again, but he can't marry this such and such girl. And it's almost like she's the new Mia. Like, she's the
Mhm.
good girl. She's pure. She's clean. She's virtuous. That's the type of woman he longs for to make him feel complete. So I think that's the spark that's starting to light up in his flame right now, is that she could be that next new girl, good girl for me. It switches to Harper is on the phone with his publishing agent, and the publishing agent is basically trying to tell him, like, listen, you need to make a decision about this offer that you got for this movie. Offers like these don't come every day. Look, you say that you want to make money. You say that this is where you want to be at in your career. Like, you can't turn a deal down like this. But Harper is trying to do the right thing for the first time and get his friend's blessing before he just jump out there and say, yeah, let's do the movie, or whatever the case may be. They're offering him a nice sum of money to produce this movie, or whatever the case may be, but he's still reticent about it, and with good reason, because he already knows that this book is going to ignite a whole bunch of
Bring back
um,
all those
old feelings and bad memories. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, especially where Lance is concerned, and considering the fact that he still hasn't had the conversation yet with Lance, it's uncharted territory for him right now. Um, So Candace and Murch are having breakfast. They're having a nice breakfast, and they touch on this whole best man subject again. I'm like, please just let this be the last time we hear about him feeling some type of way about not being the best man. Murch kind of gives us his explanation for the reason why he's so bent out of shape about it. Like, me and Q were college roommates. I was his best friend as well. Why did he not pick me? And Candace was trying to tell him basically the same thing that you were saying last week, was that people choose who they choose for their particular reasons. Regardless, he's still your friend. He still care about you. You're still here to support him. Let's
Right.
make most of this vacation and enjoy ourselves.
Exactly. Like we got 2 kids, we having a break. Like, let's enjoy ourselves. Let's
Yeah,
enjoy,
you so
like, show
pressed.
me some attention. Like, we are literally in paradise and I need you to show me some attention.
Mm-hmm. Um, so Robyn and what is it? Robyn and the what was the lady name? Savannah. They are going out to like the market, and they're looking at the locals who have like different things that they're selling, as far as fresh fruits and vegetables and meats and things like that. And Robyn is just soaking it all up, and she's in her element.
She's
And again,
loving it.
it took us right back to what we said last week. We know that this right here is going to ignite some type of um development in Robyn's character. She sees this lady is happy cooking and feeding people on the island. She had a little restaurant stand for the last 20 years and whatever. And Robyn's kind of almost like, dang, I wish I could be doing this. So that's the vibe that I get from her. Like, this lady's doing what she loves. She's on this beautiful island or whatever, and she's surrounded by all this cultural experience and all these different types of foods and spices and things like that. So she kind of wants to emulate that type of lifestyle for herself with her cooking, is the impression I get.
Yeah. It's definitely something that's connecting. I don't know what it is, but it's definitely something that's connecting there. And yeah, I already saw where that was going, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's unlocking something. It's opening a hidden door for her. Jordan is out, and she's enjoying her morning coffee, and Will approaches her again, and they have this little banter back and forth, flirtatious banter, and she actually opens up and kind of lets him in. She kind of invited him to kick it with her for the day,
Uh-huh.
and he kind of brushed her off, not brushed her off in like a negative way, but he was like, I got plans for the day, I'll catch up with you later on.
Yeah.
She kind of got in her feelings about that a little bit. She was like, "Oh, see, that's why I don't like messing with y'all dudes because she thought he was going to jump at that opportunity because she gave him that opportunity to say, well, you can come kick it with me today or whatever." He's like,
right.
"No, something to do." So, what do you think we're going with Will and Jordan? Or do you still think Will's annoying?
I don't know what to think of Will anymore. I don't know. I mean, as we go through the rest of this episode and we see more of Will, I don't know where to put Will. I don't know. I'm not interested. I don't know where we put Will, child. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know.
Okay, so ultimately, I think us as the fans, we would not be happy with seeing Jordan with anyone else if it's not Harper, because there's so much history between the two of them, and they both got away from each other, and they never got an opportunity to see what a relationship would be like between the two of them. So anybody that we see with Jordan, we're kind of like disinterested, because I felt the same way about the dude that she brought on the holiday and Best Man Holiday. The dude that she brought around, like, I'm like, who is he? Get rid of him, And I'm so glad they wrote his character where he wasn't around that much. He just popped in and popped out, kind of. So I can see Will would probably be good for her as far as getting her to pull back from that job, getting her to focus a little bit more on enjoyment.
I think he would be a good friend to her, but I don't know about a long-term romantic interest.
Exactly, especially if they're not in the same place. If it's a long distance type relationship, no, it's not going to work. But if he's back in New York with her and he's sharing a life with her and he's trying to pull her out of this commitment to work and only work, then I think he would be good for her. I don't necessarily think that Jordan's the type of woman for him. I think she would eat him up and spit him back out. So I don't think that she would be the type of woman that he would ultimately be pleased with, because she's a bit of a boss. She's a bit of used to having her own way. And I don't think that she doesn't take advantage of the simple things in life. He's there on a vacation. He's enjoying himself. He's enjoying the simple little things about being on the vacation. Whereas for her, she's there. It's still like work for her, because she's there for a wedding, and she's still haven't put the phone down. She's still concentrating on work. So, she's really not enjoying the experience and enjoying the moment. So ultimately, I don't think that they would be a good match. The fellas are having a massage, and it kind of brought me back to Turk and Caicos. When I went to Turk and Caicos, they had like this little tiki hut on the beach where you could go and actually have massages like that on the beach, and it was really nice. I really enjoyed that. So that kind of brought me back.
Probably enjoy who was giving you the massage too.
Well, actually, I was, because it was.
I bet.
It was a different type of experience.
I bet it was.
To have the breeze from the water and everything just blowing on you. You're outside. It felt really nice. It was a really good experience. So I know they enjoyed that massage. They're sitting there and they're just kind of talking back and forth. Kind of like they kind of remind me a little bit of the brothers a little bit. And they're kind of talking about their own individual situations, but at the same time they're kind of focusing in on Quentin and trying to figure out, like, who is this new version of Quentin, like, what are you doing? They all try to figure out what Shelby's what type of energy Shelby's getting ready to bring to the table. Murch is trying to round up local strippers for the bachelor party. They're worth $500 per dancer,
right? Because remember, Tay Diggs asked him, he was like, can you handle that? And of course, he's so happy to be asked to do anything related to being the best man that he is just excited.
He is. He was all too happy to oblige. So that's Murch's job right there. He's in charge of the girls. He's trying to
He's in charge of the girls.
He's in charge of the girls. He's trying to round up the girls for the bachelor party. Let's see. I think we have an interaction I think Jordan and Shelby are kind of talking, and I think Jordan's telling Shelby about Will kind of brushed her off, and she was like, "Ain't no big deal. Maybe he did have something to do. Maybe you'll see him later on." And they are approached by Zamora, who has this little smart presence about herself, like she know more. And Shelby was kind of like taking a little dig at her. She asked her how she enjoyed her evening. She's like, "Oh, I enjoyed my evening. I enjoyed everything that this hotel had to offer." And she reveals to her that, "I know that you slept with my old man." I'm like, "You're kind of cavalier about that." Like,
way too cavalier for me.
She's like,
but I think it's part. I think it's part what you said when me and you were talking offline, that this may not have been that big of a love match so much as it was connection of convenience and business. But I also think that it never occurred to her that she would lose.
Oh, good point.
Like, don't get me wrong, I still think she was a little too cavalier about it. But I think she was like, okay, he gonna get this last little bit out his system, but he's marrying me. Like, there's some women who feel like that. Like, okay, he might cheat with her, but I got the ring.
Not only do I have the ring, but I'm marrying to the family, so I got access to the money and the notoriety and all that. So you're absolutely right. I never thought about it like that. I never thought that she would look at it as, she's no competition to me. I ain't gonna lose. And that's exactly the way she approached her. Like,
yeah, because she was, I mean, there's a thin line between jealousy and disrespect. So like when Shelby showed up, she was too, you get to hang out with your friends and it's okay, I'll see you later on. All of that was a power play. And at the end of the day, it's like she thought, for me, Shelby showing up was disrespectful. The way Shelby showed up was disrespectful because there was a reason why you weren't invited, ma'am. You weren't invited, even though we're all in this friend group. You weren't invited because me and you were a couple and we were together, and that would be disrespectful to my marriage to invite the woman that I've been sleeping with off and on for the last 10 years.
That's true.
To my wedding. And the fact that Shelby disregarded that and showed up anyway, it would be different if,
especially when she was told to stay away. She was told to stay away.
Yeah, she was told she was right. It would be different if Q invited her on the back end, like, and was trying to be sneaky about it. But no, it was very clear you were not supposed to be there. Like, all of the friends were told not to tell you. Like, it was a very specific thing. And the fact that you showed up anyway, I would have, and I don't think it's about being jealous. I would have a problem with the fact that you disregarded that and you showed up anyway. And if I were like, kind of like what Tay Diggs ended up doing, which we haven't gotten to that part yet, but kind of like what he ended up doing, like if I'm part of the friend group, I'm gonna have to pull you aside and tell you, listen, this isn't your place. You're out of order. I'm your friend and I still love you, but you out of order.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, but I think that's what it had a lot to do with it. But yes, they had a very catty exchange.
That's exactly what it was. It was very catty, very high schoolish, whatever.
Yeah.
So the friends have been invited to go to some type of, I don't want to call it a ritual.
It was
like a spiritual cleansing or something.
Yeah, like a spiritual cleansing. I've seen this. I've never been on one, but I've seen that happen before, where you drink the little stuff and then you manifest. I mean, of course, it was exaggerated. For the for comedic purposes, it was exaggerated, but I've seen this before where you have a shaman there and they sort of lead you into this journey, and the stuff that you drink is sort of exactly what happened. It sort of highlights what's already there.
Mm-hmm. Well, as they're approaching the beach, Tay Diggs, where Harper is having a drink, and he asked Robyn, he said, "Did you put something in my drink?" And she was like, "Yeah, I put some mama wanna root and you drink
Right.
for later on. And so Lance overhears this. He's like, "What's up with that mama water root?" Because I'm having some performance issues. I had a little honey in my villa this morning.
I couldn't get it together.
I couldn't get it together at all, so I need some of that mama water root. They get down to the beach, and Jordan discovers that the shaman that's performing the ceremony is her little love interest, Will, Bobo. And she's like, "That's Will." And so
that was crazy.
She tries to flirt with him, or not necessarily flirt with him, but she tries to, interact with him, and he's like, "Oh, well, this is one of my things, because earlier on he had told her that, he dib and dabs in a lot of different things, or whatever the case may be." So it was very unclear as to what his professional career is.
Right, because he said he was photography, he was into tech. Remember, he said he sold his company, made a lot of money. Like, he had a little bit of everything going on.
He had a lot of stuff going on, so we don't know. He's a
you can change that picture, retro.
I'm sorry. The next one is Shelby too.
Oh, okay. My bad. Okay, no, I didn't realize that was the next one. Okay.
No, you're okay. You're good. So they drink this concoction, and it's like you described. The concoction is supposed to manifest the things that are troubling them the most, for them to kind of release it and confront it, almost like in a spiritual realm. Shelby's reaction to the concoction was a little different. It worked as a laxative for her.
Right, which basically translates to, "Shelby, you full of..."
Exactly. That's exactly what I thought.
You are full of.
You're full of.
But you know what? You can look at it both ways too. You can look at it as, "Okay, Shelby, you full of shit," or you need to get some stuff up out of you in order to go to the next level.
That's right.
Your body is purging things that you need to go get out of you, so that you can accept whatever the next thing is coming your way. You look at it both. You can look at it from both angles.
I actually like your point of view. And really, to be quite honest with you, given the events that occurred at the end of this episode, I think that's exactly what it was. It's like you have to release some of this stuff in order for you to receive better. And the old heads in my life used to always tell me that sometimes we hold on to things, and we think that by holding on to those things that we are holding on to what we have control over. But sometimes if you release those things, you receive something bigger and better. And sometimes the bigger and better, it may not always start out to be bigger and better, but ultimately it may end to a more happier experience. It may end to a more peaceful experience in your life. So for her, she needs to get rid of some of that. She confronts Q and still like, "Well, what's going on with this? Like, what are you?" He was like, "Well, this is me. This is a portion of me. Like, you never knew anything beyond sex with me. Like, so you can't sit here.
You never wanted to know more."
Exactly. You can't sit here and say that you don't recognize this version of me because you only was interested in one part of me, and that was the only part that you was interested in. And she's still trying to take a dig that he can't satisfy this high maintenance chick. He was like, "Well, I couldn't satisfy you either, and you're here. So what does that say about you?" So she's still trying to shoot her shot. I mean, she fully loaded at this point. She's shooting her shot every chance she get. Again, you got the strange fiance root lady hiding behind the bushes, watching them.
Right. But even before we get to that,
put a root on you.
Right. But before we even go to that, like, we can go around the room. Nia Long, she was sort of geeking out stressing out over her job and putting everything above her job or whatever. We saw Harper typing furiously, trying to type up. So like you saw Regina's character, you saw her getting the words for this speech she was trying to write and the words coming to her. So like you saw each person, like you kind of sort of the potion sort of work with each person and kind of help them, guide them through what they were trying to process through,
Yeah. what was it for? What was it for Murch? Because Murch was going through some stuff too, but I couldn't figure out what Murch's revelation was.
I don't know.
I think it
I
has.
know he was worried about what was going on with Regina.
Yeah, I think Murch. I think Murch's was more so that you need to kind of focus in a little bit on who you are as a person too, and quit trying to be what everyone else is. You know, because I feel like part of Murch's character is, you know, he hasn't really come into his own fully. You know, he's still trying to personify this lifestyle that fits in with his circle of friends, but not necessarily what he wants to do. Because originally he was supposed to be a lawyer. He was supposed
Right.
to have been a lawyer. So, you know, this whole school thing, he doesn't seem to be as invested in it anymore as much as Candace is. So his character is transitioning, changing. He's going through some changes right now, and I think he's just being introduced to those changes that he's going through. Lance decides to stay behind because he was like, this ain't my thing. You know, Lance is more on a Christian spirituality type thing. So, you know, he wasn't interested in going. And so he comes in contact with
He was
Jasmine.
worried about trying to get some of that mama root.
He was trying to get that mama root because they showed him back at the room taking some of it. You know, he was trying to get his mojo back.
He was taking all of it.
Yeah. he was trying to get his.
He was trying to get his mojo.
Yeah, he was trying to get his mojo back. He was like, "Yeah, screw all that. I got to figure out what's going on because things ain't working."
Right. You know how y'all get. You know how y'all men get.
Yeah, especially when you're at a certain age.
Y'all little soldier won't get that attention, honey.
Yeah, especially when you're at a certain age and that little soldier doesn't perform the way he used to. Like, wait a minute, what's going on? He comes in contact with Jasmine, and they have a little conversation. They end up going on a run, which I thought it was really neat that they actually had some time to interact with each other. This is what I was really wanting to see more of. Was that I didn't want him to end up falling for her and her falling for him, and they not have any interaction with each other prior to. So we starting to see those little moments where this could develop into something because they keep crossing paths. You know, they kind of have a little flirtatious little thing going on, but you know, neither one of them has crossed any lines at this point. So they're building a very organic relationship. Jordan comes across her little homeboy, Will. You know,
shaman.
Shaman. Yeah. And you know, she was just kind of, you know, telling him about the experience, and you know, he kind of talks a little bit more about, you know, the different things that he's got going on. And you know, she was basically telling him that what she learned from the experience was she needed to focus more on self-care.
Journey, yeah.
She needed to focus more on self-care, and she need to do less with work. She kind of invites me in a little bit, and she was like, I don't think you can handle me. He was like, I don't think you can handle me. He was like, I really would love to experience some of your energy. He whispered something in his ear, something to the effect of what he would like to do to her. And I guess she wasn't feeling that. She was like,
oh yeah, no. She was like, no, you're right. I can't handle you.
She was like, that's a little too much. Go on back over there.
Right.
Go back over there, because these things that you talking about you going to do to me, I don't think so.
Right.
I wonder what he told her.
I don't know, but whatever it was, she was like, oh, okay, yeah, you good.
Yeah, go back. She's like, I'll see you around. And so Candace and Murch are laying back up in the bed at the room, and you know, they're just kind of talking about their experience and everything, and they're just really enjoying their moment. They're, like you said earlier, they're on vacation, they're kid free. You know, let's just enjoy ourselves. That's what you want to do today. Let's go get a massage. And Murch says, well, I tried to book us a couple of massage, but the whole spa is booked up. Like the whole spa's been bought out for the whole day. And then there's a knock at the door, and guess who it is? It's Shelby. Shelby comes up in there, and it's nice to see that her and Candace are getting along now, because you know they used to have a very
contentious,
pretentious, bitch, I'm gonna beat you with a bottle. Like they were not feeling each other. So it's nice to see that they've developed some type of coexistence, friendship. And Shelby comes in and asks for her help. And it wasn't revealed to us in that moment what she was needing help with, but she's basically told him, like, listen, I'm the one who brought up the spa. So, if you help me, the spa's all y'all's for the rest of the day, or whatever the case may be. So, Candace is kind of intrigued, like, what could she possibly want from me? What could she possibly want help with me for? And so we get back to Q and Harper. They're having a conversation, and Shelby, Ziamana has put together some type of publicity thing in regards to her being the spokesperson for the property.
Right.
And she's showing it to Quentin for the first time, and he's a little taken it back. He learns that her father kind of put this together, which kind of made him feel even more like, are you really into me? Or are you into the family's name? What the family can do for you in your career. He was like, when did y'all have time to put this together? Obviously, it was already prearranged, already put together, whatever the case may be. And she's like, oh, this was a surprise to you. But it further kind of made me feel like, okay, yeah, she's just there for the money and the popularity that it can bring to her career and all that stuff. She ain't want that man.
Again, I'm not gonna say she didn't want him, but I definitely don't feel like he was the goal. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was like, well, he's a nice consolation prize, you know what I mean?
Right. But what do you think? How do you think Quentin feels about all this?
I think Quentin is torn. I think he's torn because honestly, I think by the way things ended, and I know we jumping ahead, but by the way things ended, I feel like he did want this with Shelby, but I think he decided, I'm never going to get this from Shelby, so I'm going to settle. And so again, do I think he had feelings for Ziamore, whatever her name is? Yeah. But did she do it for him the way Shelby did? Obviously not. You know what I mean? Hello? Oh, okay. So yeah, that's just kind of how I feel about the situation. I just feel like that he definitely has feelings for Shelby. It just didn't do it for that way, So
right. And the fact that she was just so
I think that's everything I couldn't know.
And the fact that she was so nonchalant about everything, like you really allowed Shelby to come in and disrupt what you had because you didn't deal with her the way you needed to dealt with her. Because
how would that make you
like
feel?
She wasn't no threat. You let her get too close.
But like, how would that make you feel? Like, I mean, from the point of view of, no, I don't really necessarily like drama, and no, I don't necessarily want women fighting over me. But how would you feel if this was your wedding and the same situation happened and you felt like you saw your soon-to-be wife kind of being like, okay, hey girl, come on in. Like, I mean, how would that make you feel about the situation?
You knowing me as well as you know me, you already know I would be bothered by that.
Yeah, like, I mean, again, I would feel the same way. Like this, again, there's one thing to be like, okay, I'm not jealous and I'm not about drama, but I'm also not about disrespect.
Especially when it's your ex. You know, when it's your ex that's showing up and you guys
and that current together. Of an ex too. That like that current, like it'd be different if like it would be different if it were like Harper and
Jordan
and what's the face? Like, okay, y'all fooled around in college, but it's 20 years later. Y'all ain't never been with each other. Y'all are just friends. It's been platonic for 20 years. That's one thing. But like y'all are actively still sleeping together.
Like literally you literally just slept with him last night. Yeah, she should have been a little bit more focused on like how is this relate? For me, I could not marry someone knowing that they were still sleeping with someone else. I couldn't marry someone knowing that their headspace was still focused on somebody else and not on me.
But I'm not okay. So I'm not even talking about from if you were in Zamora's position. I mean, if you were in Q's position and you felt like your fiance was nonchalant about it. It's almost like she don't care. Like, would that bother you?
Oh, absolutely. Because I would feel like, do you really
I just want
love
to make
me?
sure you knew what I was asking. Okay.
Yeah. Do you really love me for who I am? Is this what we have really real? Or is this all for a bigger end game? And I'm just something that comes along with that. So for me, I would be more disturbed by that than anything, because I'm like, I don't know if we're going to have a future, and I don't know what kind of future we're going to have, because if I'm on the outskirts right now and we haven't even gotten married, what is it going to be like 2 months from now when you've gotten, and one thing they didn't make clear, there was no prenup, so like, I'm putting myself in a position where you can take me for half of everything that I have, and you really weren't here for the right reasons to begin with. So for me, we would definitely have to have a conversation before there would be any type of wedding. We would have to have a conversation, and I need to understand where your headspace is at. Like, why do you not see this as a problem? Because I'm uncomfortable by it. You damn sure should be uncomfortable by it, because my ex is here. Like, I'm trying to get her to leave. You sitting here like, oh, it's okay. Y'all can get reacquainted.
Yeah, see that. Yeah, like I said, in either position, I would be bothered by it, because again, you're not just gonna roll up in here and be just like, no.
Like you own the place.
Yeah.
Like you own the place. You're doing the most. So speaking of Shelby, we get to the bachelor party, which is at the little lounge at the hotel, and Murch is doing his thing. He's rounding up some girls. He smacked one of them in the face.
Yeah, that daggone Murch, he be trying. Lord knows he be trying, child. He be trying.
Murch will round up some of the girls to come in and entertain them for the night, and Q like, Harper, what kind of best man are you? Because Murch is doing all the heavy lifting. You ain't doing nothing but standing on the sidelines. Murch doing all the heavy lifting. That was funny. And so next thing we know, Candace pops in. And she was like, well, I got a bigger surprise for you guys. And Q, this is for you. And she's finna blow your mind. They pull back the curtain. It's Shelby. And she is performing to one of my favorite Jodeci songs. She is performing to one of my favorite Jodeci songs, Freaking You. And Shelby came and done her thing. She gave the lap dance of lap dances. And she let her dude know right then and there, like, listen, you go ahead and marry her if you want to. But you're
going to be missing out on all of this.
You're going to miss out on all of this, because this is what you really want right here. And even in that moment, he's enjoying himself and he's enjoying her. He's still, I can't stand you. I hate you. And she's like, whatever you want me. And he did. And he pretty much told Murch, he was like, thank you so much. But really, Murch didn't have anything to do with it. That was her little plan with Candace. And Candace helped her put a little number together, her little routine together. She went in there and she did her thing. So even though she's audacious, but the part of me that believes in true love, like, if you truly love someone, there's no limits. And I think that's what we're seeing with Shelby. She's going beyond those limits to, I'm not going to let this dude get away from me. I guess she saw this as her only chance to let him know how she truly feels, rather than her saying it, rather than her having a conversation with him and saying, Q, I really love you. I really wish we would have had a chance to be together. She's personifying it in these dramatic ways, instead of really just sitting down having a conversation with the man and letting the man know that this is how I truly feel about you. She's going above and beyond to gather his attention. And so that's what we see here in this moment, is that, listen, you whatever you see in this other woman, it ain't nothing in comparison to what you could have with me. So part of me kind of respects her for her hustle, because she's not giving up on what she wants.
I feel so, again, after seeing how the episode ended, I did feel a little bit different about this scene. When I was watching it in the moment, I was like, oh my gosh, come on, stop. Because like I said, I thought I thought we were gonna get 3 or more episodes. I thought we were gonna get three more episodes of her doing stuff like this, trying to screw up this wedding. Like I thought they were gonna drag this out.
Yeah.
And I was like, girl, like just stop.
She's thirsty.
But again, after get the end of it, I was like, okay, that wasn't so bad. Claim your man. Now, I still don't think I would have necessarily handled it that way, but would I have made a grand gesture? Yeah, I probably would have made some sort of a grand gesture. Would it have been that grand gesture? Probably not. But again, their relationship, being the person that she is and being the person that he is, okay, you know what I mean? Now, like I said, it wouldn't have been that grand of a gesture for me, but again, I definitely see,
And we also see where Harper decides to spring into action and finally decides that I need to get her off of the island. You should have been.
Like he booked her a flight. He was like, look,
you should have been done that.
You got to go. Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like exactly. I agree.
You should have been do that. You wait till she goes to the extreme to say, oh, she needs to leave. Like you should have been trying to get her out of there from inception. And I think him and Lance did end up having a conversation while they were at the club about the book. I think Lance gave him his blessings, kind of, sort of. Or were they talking about Jasmine? They had a little conversation while they were there at the club, but I really couldn't remember what it was all about.
But they did. I think they talked about the book too.
Yeah. And they were in awe as well. Lance, all of them, they were all in awe. Like Shelby, like they
all of them were like, whoa, whoa.
None of us expected this.
Right.
So they book a little cheap Spirit Airlines flight back to the U.S. and sent her on her way.
Child. First of all, that's bullshit because I would have upgraded my damn self. She got the kind of money she got 3 nannies. I would have upgraded my damn self. Like, girl, bye.
Yeah. Or I would have been on a private jet heading home. I wouldn't been in no economy nothing. Like you might have paid for this plane ticket, but this ain't the flight that I got to get on.
Right.
You know how we are when we travel. Zimora comes up and she pretty much has her final discussion with her. Like, listen. At first, when you got here, I thought this was a he, kiki, ha ha type deal, but you got to go. And you got to keep your hands off of my old man. Like, you got to go. And Shelby pretty much warns her. She concedes. I'm really glad that she didn't make herself, I'm glad they didn't get to like a physical altercation and she didn't make a big scene. She accepted her defeat. And she gave her this final declaration that, listen, I'm going to go.
You heard him.
But if you heard him, you finna see me. You finna come and see me. And so I really appreciate that. She left without incident. She left without any further incident. So the next morning, they're up and, Quentin is having a conversation with his old man. And Jordan and Harper is there. And, Quentin is like, I don't know what to do. It's the day of the wedding. I don't know what to do because I'm looking for her to pop out of the cake. She's going to pop out of the bushes. She's going to come hanging from the ceiling. Like, she's everywhere I go. And it was like, well, you ain't got to worry about it. She's gone. And like, when he heard that and he processed that, like, what do you mean she's gone?
Right. He was like, wait a minute.
Where's she at? Like, gone? Like, no, she's at the airport, like, finna leave. He skirted up out of there quick. He squirted up out of there real quick. And he was like, I'm finna go find my old lady. And he gets to the airport. And, he's hollering for her at the airport and everything. And, she's trying to conceal herself. And he finally spots her. And, they, again, in a very public way, in their toxic way, they have this whole conversation about how neither one of them can stand each other. And you just toxic for me. You've just caused all this turmoil this weekend since you've been here. Like, But then in the same breath, I need you.
Mm-hmm.
I can't live without you. Don't go.
Mm-hmm.
And he got down on both of his knees and was like, please don't leave me. And he told her he loved her, and she says, I love you too. And I knew right then and there. I said, ain't no wedding today.
At least it won't be the unicorn.
The unicorn ain't get married today. And so that was a very powerful moment. And they got married. Now, in the real world, I don't think this would have happened this fast. No marriage license.
Well, you know, when you get those destination weddings, it's not legal until you come home and file it at home anyway.
File it, yeah, at home anyway.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
you
just
can get
more
married,
of a ceremony,
yeah.
right? Yeah, it's just a ceremony. That's true too. That's true too. And so a lot has changed. And I would say maybe 48, 72 hours that she's been there. She came there.
Oh, you missed something very important.
Go ahead, talk to me.
After she has the conversation, after Harper tells her she got to go, and she has the conversation with Zamora, we see her call her daughter. And I knew immediately. I said, that's Q's daughter. And she was even, and you could tell that he has a relationship with her because she said, are you having fun at Uncle Q's wedding?
Yep.
So she knows who he is. She has a relationship with him. And this is what I'm going to say. I knew immediately that was his daughter. Why he ain't know?
You know what?
Listen,
I feel like they
hard to do
vaguely.
math.
I feel
It ain't
feel
hard
like
to do math.
it ain't hard to do math. You're right. I feel like
But I think he probably in the back of his mind suspected it, but maybe never wanted the confirmation. I don't know.
I think we vaguely touched on that in Best Man Holiday. Vaguely. When they was at that scene at the table, she was fussing at the little girl about eating too much, and Q kind of went to her defense. You kind of see that the little girl took a liking to him, and he took a liking to her. I said it then. I said, could this be his daughter? And it just kind of, because that scene just kind of went and gone, and they had the big fight and all that. So it kind of got lost in that moment. But you're right. I didn't pick up on it in that scene, but that was a good catch because she did call her daughter, and the daughter did say, well, how are you having fun at Uncle Q's wedding?
Yeah.
It didn't hit me until they got married, and she was like, you are her real father, because Q was like, you know, we got to break this to her gently. Like, we got to make sure that, you know, this is not going to screw up her relationship with her real father.
Right.
And she was like, you are her real father. Before we even completed that phone call, we need to sit down and have a conversation. Like, I feel like Q didn't process that.
Well, the fact that he took it so easy tells me, in my mind, tells me that he suspected it anyway.
Okay.
Because he took it way too easy. Like you said.
And
like
had no other question.
He wasn't mad. He wasn't nothing. And that doesn't mean that they won't have a hard conversation later. But like you said, even in the moment, I'd have been like, whoa, what you mean? Like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, there was no processing. There was no reaction.
Nothing. But that tells me that, in my mind, that tells me that in the back of his mind, he suspected that.
I never thought about it like that. I never thought about it.
This is just my assumption.
But no, that gives me a bit different perspective of how I view that scene. Because when I first saw that scene, I was like scratching my head at the writers, like, why would y'all not make him at least ask a follow-up question? Like, what do you mean that's my daughter? Like, the fact that he didn't have no type of reaction to that, I thought was uncharacteristic of the character. But now that you say that, that kind of gives me a different perspective on that now, because he knew all along.
Or at least suspected.
Mm-hmm. And so they call the young lady on FaceTime, and they tell her that they've gotten married. And my question is, did the little girl know that Q was her father?
I don't think
because she referred to him as Uncle Q. You're right. So she didn't know either. Yep. So she didn't know either. And so the episode goes off. So for me, I'm loving what they're doing with this writing, and because the episodes are 2 hours, an hour long, and we watched the first 2 episodes, I feel like this is a movie. I feel like the first 2 episodes is the sequel to Best Man Holiday. Now, when we get into episode 3 and 4, that's another movie because the episodes are about an hour long a piece, and your average movie now is about 2 hours long. So, for this to be a series, it doesn't. I guess because this cast, we recognize them from the big screen and not from the miniseries. It does not feel like this is a TV series. It doesn't feel like I'm watching a TV series. It feels like it's a movie.
Oh, really?
I mean, what does it feel like to you?
It feels like a series to me. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I guess because it's broken up the way it is, but I mean, I think the advantage that they had with this is that they didn't have to develop any characters.
That's true.
Like they could just jump right in. Like you didn't have to figure out who these people were.
That's true.
Didn't have to figure out the background story. You could just start right there and then go forward from there. I mean, there's some movies that do that where they don't give you a lot of background. One of the biggest movies that pops in my mind is Love Jones.
Yes.
Love Jones didn't give you a lot of background.
No.
They sort of jumped in where these characters were and moved forward. You got a few glimpses, like you knew about Nia Long's ex-boyfriend. You knew about Lorenzo's ex-girlfriend. But even then, you did not know all of the details. You know that Lisa broke his heart, and you know that whatever happened with the dude that moved to New York. But you did not have a lot of insight and background. You just sort of started where they met at the club, and you went forward from there. So, but most movies are going to give you that. Most movies give you something. Even as you get to know the characters where they are, you get something to figure out. Whereas with this, we were able to, and it's a good thing. Like I was okay with that, you know. And the things that we're sort of confused by are the things that I'm hoping will be explained. We're not confused, but we question, because I already think I have the answer to one question. I'm gonna hold on to it because I know you've watched ahead of me, so I don't want you to say.
Well, what is your question? What is your question?
No, I'll wait. I'll say it off camera. I'll say it off camera. But I don't want you to confirm it. I just want you to hear what I'm saying. Well, I'll go ahead and say it now. The one thing that we were a little thrown off by was the beginning where it seemed like it was starting in 2024. I think that's how this ends. I think it ends in 2024. And that scene we saw with Harper going on stage, speaking to whoever he was speaking to, and seeing Nia Long's character in the audience and him calling her his soulmate. I think that's how we end. I think we end with the two of them together. And this, I think, because now that I see that this series isn't just the wedding, now that I see that we're going to see these characters progress over maybe a year or whatever, now I feel like, okay, that's where this series ends. And that clears up why we were starting at 2024. Now I don't know if I'm right or not, but that's what I picked. That's what I picked up. And don't tell me whether I'm right. I know you watched ahead of me, so don't
I wasn't going to say a word. As you see, I'm not commenting.
I see.
But what's curious in my research to see if there's going to be another season of this, what I've uncovered is the Best Man Wedding. So if you go out on IMDb, there is a Best Man Wedding that's in pre-production right now. And judging by the characters that are going to be in it, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this. Shelby,
I don't want to know.
Okay, well, we'll talk about it off camera.
I don't want to know at all. I don't want to know.
What do you mean you don't want to know? It doesn't say anything about what happens in this series.
I don't even want to know more than what you already told me.
All right, so I guess we'll be back next week, or maybe this weekend. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, because I'm gonna go ahead and watch episode 3 either tonight or tomorrow. So maybe tomorrow or Monday we can do episode 3. We can get it out.
Okay. All right, we'll get episode 3 out to y'all.
Most people have finished watching the series, so we're not spoiling anything. Most people have binged it. I see people like I've had to avoid spoilers like on Instagram or TikTok and stuff, or Facebook, because people are talking about it. So I just kind of keep scrolling. When I see anything dealing with the best man, I just keep going because I don't want no spoilers. I kind of already saw some stuff by accident, and I'm like, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
So
I forget that's how you are. When you were watching something, you don't want to be spoiled in no way, shape,
I don't
form,
want to know
fashion.
nothing. Yeah, I don't like looking ahead. I don't want to know nothing.
Forget that. All right, guys. Well, we'll be back. Make sure y'all drop down in those comments. Drop y'all theories on where y'all think about the wedding and Shelby and Quentin, and we'll get in here and talk about it with you guys. And we'll see you for episode 3.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.